My name is Alex Wiseman. I am 19 years old, and I stand before you not just as a young man with dreams of public service, but as a witness to the enduring promise of America, a promise that is tested in moments of uncertainty, strengthened in times of challenge, and renewed every day by the courage of ordinary people like you and me. I am reminded of the words of those who came before us, who believed that this country could be more than the sum of its parts. They believed that we could rise above division, above fear, and above despair. And they believed that the future belongs not to those who inherit it, but to those willing to shape it with vision, purpose, and action. We gather here in a time of challenge, but also a time of opportunity. Across our cities and towns, families are feeling the weight of rising costs, uncertain jobs, and economic change that is moving faster than any one person can keep pace with. Our climate is reminding us in storms, fires, and rising seas that our decisions today will define the world our children inherit tomorrow. Around the globe, conflicts, crises, and instability remind us that freedom and security are not guaranteed. They are earned and preserved through courage, cooperation, and principle. And yet, in the midst of all this, I still see hope. I see young people raising their voices for climate action, organizing in neighborhoods to protect what is most precious. I see communities uniting to care for those left behind by the systems that have too often failed them. I see the next generation refusing to accept that our problems are unsolvable. Yeah, I know that I'm young. I know that some may say I lack experience. But I've come to believe that what this nation needs most is not simply more experience, but vision. We need leaders and activists willing to imagine a future that today's circumstance might convince us is impossible. We need leaders who remember that politics is not merely about power, but about connecting the hopes, the needs, and the dreams of ordinary citizens to the decisions that shape their lives. And so I'm here to say that I am ready. I'm ready to be vocal. I'm ready to stand up. I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to work, not for my own gain, but for the chance to help America live up to its highest ideals. I grew up watching people struggle, but never grew up. I grew up seeing teachers staying late not for pay, but because a child's future depends on their commitment, just as politicians should do. I grew up seeing neighbors organize food drives, not because anyone demanded it, because someone needed help. I grew up understanding that true leadership is not about who has the most money, most influence, or who stands the tallest. It is about who lifts others up and truly cares about the people. Some will tell us that politics is broken, that the divisions are too deep, that progress is impossible. But I have met too many people, too many Americans to believe that. I have met veterans who return home to rebuild their communities. I have spoken with activists fighting for justice in the neighborhoods when the odds are stacked against them. I have met scientists, seen engineers, and workers across this nation and across my state of Kentucky who refuse to let fear dictate their future. These are not numbers or merely statistics. They are proof that America is not broken. America is alive. Let me say that again. America is alive. America is resilient. America is full of promise. However, our challenges are real. Climate change is not a future threat. It is a present crisis. Families are struggling with healthcare costs. Education is increasingly unequal. And economic opportunity is concentrated in ways that leave far too many behind. Across the world, democratic institutions face threats from authoritarianism, misinformation, and corruption. These are not abstract issues. They are challenges that demand courage, imagination, and moral clarity. And yet, amidst all this, I have hope because I have seen what we can accomplish when we work together. I have seen communities rebuild after disasters, including my own. I have seen neighbors stand up for one another when their government failed. And young people remind us that the future does not belong to cynicism. It belongs to hope. We must face our challenges head on, with solutions rooted in fairness, science, morality, and compassion. We must embrace renewable energy, invest in education, and make healthcare a right, not a privilege. We must modernize our economy so that every worker in every town has access to meaningful opportunity. And we must defend the values that define us: freedom, justice, equality. Reiterate that: freedom, justice, equality, both at home and abroad. I believe that change does not come from resignation. Change comes from engagement. Change comes when ordinary citizens understand that their voices matter, and when leaders remember that power is not an entitlement, it is a responsibility. Some say that the task is too great, that the divisions are too entrenched, but I am here to say this: the history of this country is not written by those who shrink from challenge, those who bear down to adversity, but those who rise to meet it. Every civil rights victory, every expansion of opportunity, every moment of progress has come from ordinary people refusing to accept that the world must stay as it is. I stand here not just to dream, but to act, not just to imagine, but to fight, because I believe that together we can write a story for this generation and every generation after, a story not defined by despair, not by division, but by unity, courage, and possibility. As a young man aspiring to serve this nation, I see a future that is not yet written. I see opportunities to reform, to uplift, to inspire. I see Americans choosing hope over fear, action over apathy, and love over division. I see a generation ready to prove that the best of America is not behind us. It is ahead of us. So, let us commit ourselves to that vision. Let us remind ourselves that hope is not naive. It is the stubborn refusal to accept that circumstances define us. Let us embrace the hard work, the disagreements, and the compromise that true progress requires. And let us act with the belief that the future belongs not to those who wait, but those who lead, who serve, and never stop fighting and believing in the promise of this nation. I am ready. I am committed. I am inspired by all of you who continue to prove, day after day, that America's best days are still to come. And I pledge to dedicate my life to public service, to fight for every family, every worker, every child as if they were my own, so they can live in a nation defined not by fear, but by hope. Because if history has taught us anything, it is this: change is possible when we dare to hope. Justice is possible when we dare to act. And the promise of this nation is always possible when we dare to dream together. So, take this as a call to action. Yell in the streets. Shout it from the rooftops. Remember to dare to hope.